Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you for joining in. This is Neka of Niger Canada Girl. If it's your first time joining in, welcome and thank you. You know what to do. Hit the subscribe button if you're not yet subscribed. And if you've always followed and watched my videos, thank you so much. And please hit the subscribe button still if you're not yet subscribed. How have you guys been? I'm really excited to be here today. And if you notice, I do not have my contact lenses or glasses on, which is pretty much what my video will be about. Guys, I can see without glasses. I had my eyesight permanently corrected through a Lasik eye surgery. Don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. I had it done here in Canada. If you are interested in knowing all the details, hearing all the tea about the process, how it works, what it costs, don't go anywhere. Yes, guys, like I said, I had a Lasik eye surgery. So I had my eyesight corrected with laser technology. I'll be explaining what it is in case you've never heard about it. I'll be explaining how you can get one done if you're interested. So guys, I'm really excited. There's so many things I want to say. I actually just have to put myself together, contain myself, because this girl does not need to ever wear glasses anymore. It still feels like a dream. So yeah, permanently corrected. No glasses, no contact lens, and my vision is 2020. Scratch that. My vision is actually 2015, and 2015 is way better than 2020. Google it. I'm not just saying that. It actually is. So guys, there's just so much I want to say. All right, I'm going to start by giving you a background of what my eyesight has been like, what the journey has been, how I decided to, take the bold step and have a LASIK surgery done to permanently correct my eyesight. And then I'll go ahead to tell you what the process is, funding options, places where you can get it done. Okay, so guys, I have been short-sighted. I believe I was born short-sighted. I believe I inherited this from my mom because my mom is also short-sighted, nearsighted if you like. I remember struggling with seeing from sitting in the middle of the class way back in elementary school, in primary school, right? And, every other kid just seemed to know what the teacher was saying, go along with all the calculations on the board, and I was always so lost. It wasn't until my primary 5 where I figured, I don't think everyone else is seeing the same way I'm seeing, because this is horrible. How come everyone else gets it, but I don't? So I opened up to my parents, and of course we went for an eye test, and yes, I was short-sighted. I think I started using glasses since then, and my eye defect was, the power was, I think, minus 1.5. But as I grew older, it kept getting worse. So it became minus 2 at some point, minus 2.5. And yeah, I think at the time when I got into university, I had always hated wearing glasses. Although in primary school, it seemed cute, you just always looked like the smart kid, but none of that. None of that was what I wanted by the time I was in, secondary school and university. I just didn't like it. I didn't like that they kind of left permanent scars at the sides of my face. I didn't like that they left scars across the bridge of my nose. So then I started doing a lot of research, and I found out about contact lenses, recommended contact lenses. And of course, I jumped on it. So as far back as my first year in the university, I'd been wearing contact lenses. I always had the dark brown ones, which, I don't know, they seemed really cool and natural at the same time. But guys, in like a year, I was already tired of those, because you know how contact lenses are. If you wear contact lenses, you definitely know what I mean, having to touch your eyes to put them in, and that could be really excruciating sometimes, especially if you're wearing them the wrong way. Having to take them off at night, and somehow at night when you're out, your vision gets really blurry, your eyes get really dry. So bottom line is, I wanted out. I had always wanted to have my eyesight permanently corrected. At the time, I didn't know it was possible. The first time I ever heard about the LASIK surgery option was probably in my second year in the university. And then it did sound like it was a lot of money. And I know I said to myself one day, I really want to be able to afford this. travel out of the country and get it done. Fast forward to my current life, I still had LASIK surgery as an option when I moved to Canada. I just hadn't done a lot of research. For some reason, it did seem like it was going to be really expensive. It also seemed like it was going to be a very excruciating surgery. It just seemed like it was going to be a lot of stress. So I hadn't given it any attention until I had two friends. Well, actually is Tosin. I follow her on Instagram. She follows me too. She did a post sometime towards the end of last year about finally getting a LASIK surgery done. And I'm like, oh my God, this is definitely what I've been trying to do. So I reached out to her. I asked her about the process. I asked her about where she had it done. I asked her about the financial implication, what damage it did to her account. And by the time I had gotten all the information I need, it didn't seem so bad. And then I have another friend in the US who recently had a LASIK surgery as well. And then I also reached out to him and asked him a few questions. And at that time, I knew I was ready to get my LASIK surgery done. Now, a brief background of what the LASIK surgery is, in case you've never heard of it. So it's actually a laser technology that is used to correct poor eyesight. Not all eye defects are correctable by laser. So it's mostly short-sightedness, long-sightedness, some levels of astigmatism. But you'll definitely be tested by the surgeon just to confirm that you are eligible for LASIK in the first place. So this corrects your eyesight permanently in a way that you do not ever have to use glasses for those defects anymore. And you do not have to use contact lenses. So what this does is that the laser kind of focuses on your cornea. It takes off the flap of your cornea. So your eyes are made of different layers, as you know. Now, the very first layer of this black spot is the cornea. It's like dome shaped. So that is exactly what the laser works on. So it takes out some tissues and makes a flap, opens up the existing flap, corrects the shape of the cornea, because how you see is really dependent on how your cornea is shaped. So if you have an eye defect, if you're short-sighted, it's probably because your cornea isn't shaped correctly. So when light passes through, it doesn't get to the retina the correct way it should. But when your cornea is reshaped during that surgery, if you're short-sighted, light begins to get to the retina, which allows you to see correctly like everyone else does. And when they're done, another flap is created with those tissues that were taken and put back, placed back over your cornea, and voila, you can see. I know it sounds really geeky and all that, but trust me, it's really straightforward. Now let's talk about the process. So what the LASIK surgery is pretty much correcting your cornea, reshaping your cornea and putting back a flap over it, and then you're able to see. Here in Canada, there are a number of institutions, there are a number of clinics that offer this service. And thankfully, if you do opt to get a LASIK surgery done, everything is taxed in Canada. But with the LASIK surgery, you do not have to pay tax, which is a great thing. We'll get to the finances shortly. For now, I'm just going to tell you about the process of finding out if you are eligible and the places you could actually check this out from. So when my friend had told me about the LASIK surgery, I decided to do a deep dive and check to see what options were available. Even though Tosi on Instagram had told me that, the clinic she used, she told me the name of the clinic, but I also wanted to see what other options there were. I wanted a second opinion. So I did a deep dive. I found about 5 clinics that actually do the laser treatment here in Canada. And the good thing about the LASIK surgery is that you can have a pre-test to find out if you're eligible, and it is free. So many of these clinics actually have a booking platform on their website where you can book a date where you actually go in. You spend about an hour doing a series of tests, and at the end of the day, they're able to tell you if you are eligible for the LASIK surgery or not. Remember, like I said, not all eye defects are correctable by laser. Sometimes your defect might be so far gone and they might not be able to correct it with laser. So they actually conduct a pre-test before determining if you're eligible or not. Now, at that point, if it's determined that you are eligible, then you can go ahead and book a surgery date. If you're, however, not eligible, they will go ahead and tell you you are not eligible. And that process is free. right? So that's usually the first step if you want to decide if to do laser or not, is to find out if you are even eligible. Another thing that would be done on that day is to go through the different types of LASIK or laser surgery there are. So LASIK is just one of the laser surgeries. There's also PRK. That's a long story. We'll get into that some other time. But basically, the professionals, there would go over the different types you could possibly do. And this is all based on the results they find after the test is done. And when they go through the options, they'll tell you the advantages and disadvantages of each and the cost implication. And at that point, you can decide to choose what option you want to go with. Okay, so the one I did was the advanced LASIK surgery. And I chose it because from the benefits they had mentioned, I wasn't going to see halos anymore. Now, if you wear glasses, the struggle. Driving at night is hell. Oncoming lights from the opposite direction just have these giant rainbow-like halos and you're not able to see anything. Or if you're in a place with too many bright lights at night, it's really difficult to see, far ahead of you. Let's not forget the fact that, sometimes people are saying hi and you just say hi back even though you have no idea who that is. So those happen, when you're not wearing your glasses. So that option was going to correct most of that. All the options are actually great, but I kind of was leaning towards that option, even if it was a bit more expensive. So on that day, I had decided I was going to go ahead with the LASIK surgery. I knew how much it was going to cost. And I knew how long the surgery was going to take. And for me, it was a win-win in whatever way I looked at it. So I decided I was going to do the advanced LASIK surgery. Now, that brings me to the price implication. Now, bear in mind that there isn't really a fixed amount for LASIK surgeries. I can give you a range, but it also really depends on the defects you have. For example, at the time of my test, I think I was minus 2.5. So obviously, someone with a worse defect might have a more expensive quote than I did. So the total amount for me was about 5,000 Canadian dollars. And like I said, there was no tax. And this was because, it's an agreement the government has with, so it cuts across all LASIK clinics in Canada. Tax isn't usually charged. But the ballpark for me was about $5,000. Now, this isn't to say that yours would be $5,000 as well. It could be more, it could be less. A test has to be done before the amount the LASIK surgery would cost you can be determined. Does that make any sense? Okay, let's keep going. So at that time, I was definitely sure I was going to go ahead with the surgery. And the great thing is that they also had financing options. So you could either pay the whole amount, you could pay part of the amount and finance the rest interest-free. Depending on what clinic you're using, you can go ahead and ask them what financing options they have. What interest-free financing options do they have? Because to be honest, I don't think you want to pay interest on something like that. So go ahead and do your research, reach out to different clinics, find out the ones that have a financing option that works for you, especially if you don't think you want to pay the whole amount up front. They are really accessible. A lot of them are responsive through social media, or they already have the information you need on their website. So just do some digging. I use Lasik MD. Lasik MD was kind enough to answer further questions I had when I reached out to them. But they actually had a robust amount of content and information on their website regarding financing, the process, and everything else, I needed to know. And they also had the booking tool that allowed me book my surgery before the surgery started, book my surgery on the day of the test, the day I did the test. Anyway, so fast forward to the day of my surgery, something funny happened. I initially booked my surgery for February, I think February 9th. But I went into the clinic to get my surgery done on the 9th of February. And what happens is on the day of the surgery, they usually have a completely new set of tests done. So regardless of whatever test they had on the day you went to have your preliminary test, they would do those tests again on the day of, just to make sure that your eyes are still in great condition and they are good to operate on you, right? So when the test was done, the surgeon had told me that he didn't like how the picture of my cornea looked, that he didn't think I was eligible for the LASIK laser surgery anymore. However, I was going to be eligible for the PRK laser. Now, the difference between the LASIK and the PRK, I'll explain really briefly. So with the LASIK surgery, the surgery is done. The surgery process is like 20 minutes, like 10 minutes on each eye. Yeah, it's that quick. And as soon as they are done, your cornea is covered with a flap made from your eye tissues. And in about 48 hours, to be honest, you're good to go. Your sight is back. It's better. It's 20/20 and you're great. So there won't really be any bump on the way. There won't really be any, you won't lose any time. You don't have to alter your program a lot. However, with PRK, if you have a really thin cornea, so that's why they do those tests. For every time a LASIK surgery or a laser surgery is done, it weakens the cornea a bit. So if you already have a thin cornea, some people could just have thin corneas. That's just the way they were born. Sometimes it could be different habits you've done that could make your cornea thin. And in the situation where you have a thin cornea, they will not want to choose the LASIK laser option for you. And that is because they are going to weaken your cornea by taking out tissues to create a flap. They would, however, most likely advise that you do the PRK. Now, the PRK is exactly the same process. However, they do not create any tissue flap. So what happens is they're done fixing your eye with the laser and the cornea has to heal itself. So there isn't any tissue flap that will be created to cover it, which is what makes it comfortable. So even though it's the same process, the healing time for PRK is much longer, minimum of 7 days, and it's excruciating. Because just imagine your cornea being sore and healing itself. Even though they'll put a pair of soft contact lens over it so you don't touch it, it's still excruciating and uncomfortable, right? So that was the option the doctor had said. He said my cornea didn't look strong enough and he thought PRK was going to be a better option. But when I went into the clinic, I didn't make any arrangements for PRK. What this means was that I should have taken at least 7 days off work and I should have gotten people to help me out at home because, trust me, you won't be able to do much. You might not even be able to put in your eye drops with the PRK. So I had told them, okay, we'll probably reschedule and I will come back next month when I feel I'm ready for the PRK. So I was really sad because I was looking forward to getting my eyes corrected. I was really looking forward to it. So I went back home, booked the next appointment, which was like a month from that date. And before that time, I was able to get enough time off work. I was able to get my friends on board, to take care of me pretty much during that period. I was going to move to my friend's house for that period. Another friend was going to get me from the clinic when I was done. So I just made this whole arrangement and everything seemed perfect. So I went into the surgery. I went into the clinic on my new surgery date, which was in March. And of course, on the day of the surgery, they would do another set of tests. So they had another set of tests done. And the surgeon was like, oh my God, I have great news. Your cornea has dramatically improved. So this means we can go back to doing the regular LASIK surgery that has a 48-hour healing time with no stress, as against the PRK that would have taken about 7 days to heal, that would have been really uncomfortable and painful. And I was really excited, but a part of me wanted to know why. I'm like, why are you jumping from one process to another? And then they showed me the pictures of my cornea for every test I had taken. The very first preliminary test I took, my cornea looked great, which is why they told me I was eligible for LASIK. Now, the one that they took on February, on the day they broke my heart, my cornea looked really messed up. It was thin, it was red. It just didn't look like what a regular cornea would look like. They had shown me the picture of what a regular cornea should look like. So they said it was probably for a number of reasons. I probably stayed up really late the previous night watching TV. I actually think I did. It could also be that I had worn my contact lens too close to the day of the surgery. Maybe I did as well. It could also be that I rubbed my eyes and irritated the eyes, which kind of affected the result. I probably did that too. But by the next surgery date, my eyes were fine. I hadn't worn contact lenses in forever. I wasn't watching TV late into the night anymore. So when they had the test done, the results actually showed that I was fine and eligible for the regular LASIK surgery. So guys, I was a bit nervous, but the doctor tried to calm me down. Everyone I had spoken to said it was straightforward and easy, painless, but I just still couldn't get the facts out of my mind that I was going to be operated on while I was awake on my eyes. I had so many questions, like what if I want to blink? What if my eyes get itchy? It was just really unrealistic, but at that time, that was how I felt. So I eventually went into the surgery room. I met the doctor or the surgeon and his assistant. He went over the whole process with me even before I started. He explained why there were a series of back and forths in my test results, and I totally understood. And he tried his best to calm me down. So I got into the surgery room. Of course, they put the protective hairnet over my head. I was wearing a mask and I was told to lie down. And just over me, that's where the LASIK machine was. So I was lying down and looking up at the machine. Now, I know a lot of you might be wondering, what if I blink? So they actually have this tool that clamps your eyes open. It's actually like a tape. They use it to clamp your eyes open. And then they put some numbing eye drops. So I wasn't sedated or anything. They put some numbing eye drops in my eyes. So my eyes were actually numb and I couldn't feel a thing. My eyes were wide open because they had clamped them open. So I could see everything that was going on, but I couldn't feel a thing. So the first thing they did was, obviously they calmed me down, made sure I was comfortable. And then I just knew I could see hands moving across my eyes. I was watching someone else's LASIK surgery video before mine, and I think she described it best. She said it feels like being in a car and seeing people clean your windshield from outside, but you don't feel anything. So that's how it felt. Actually, it felt, I saw the tools going back and forth, but I didn't feel a thing. But what they pretty much did was that they had, opened the flap of my cornea, created a new flap with my tissues. They had corrected the shape of my cornea and they had put the flap back. Trust me, it was fast. It was like 10 minutes for each eye. In 20 minutes, the entire surgery was done and I was fine. And the great thing about it is, you don't feel weak or tired or anything. Your vision might be a bit blurred, after the surgery. I remember thinking, oh my God, did I just waste my money? Why can't I see? Why can't I see? But they had explained the process to me that I don't get my perfect vision today, but by the time I wake up the next day, I probably would, start experiencing the differences. So I was excited, I was expectant, I was anxious, and I had a friend come pick me up, right? So we were able to get back to my house and I put in my eye drops. At the end of the surgery, they actually would give you some eye drops with like a schedule of how often you're supposed to take them. You don't have to worry about that right now. If you do end up going through with the surgery, they would give you all that instructions on how to use them. So I had like 3 different eye drops. One was every hour, one was every 2 hours, one was 4 times a day. And later on, after the first week, I was just left with the 1 eye drop that was like 4 times a day. So guys, the healing process, I went back home. I did know something had gone on with my eye, but it wasn't painful or anything. If you wear contact lens, the best way I can describe it is that every now and then you might feel like you have a badly worn contact lens. When you don't wear your contact lens correctly. So that was the feeling I got every time. And then they gave me these really dark shades because after the surgery, your eyes are really sensitive to light and your cornea has to heal properly. So they give you these dark shades, 1, to protect the light from getting into your eye, and 2, to make sure that objects don't get in and hurt your cornea. And on no condition are you supposed to rub your eye. So you have to wear those shades for 48 hours. Okay. So I wore my shades. I went home. I was able to see things here and there, but not too clearly. Like I couldn't read some of the instructions on my eye drops. You're actually advised during that period to avoid screens. For 48 hours, I wasn't even able to watch TV. I wasn't looking at my phone as much, which is why I got off Instagram, because I wanted to heal properly before, coming back to looking at screens and all that. I was off work for a whole week, so thankfully I had enough time to heal. I wasn't able to read books. My best friend was podcasts and audiobooks on Audible. A friend of mine had recommended a great podcast, This American Life. You should check it out, which I was listening to throughout that period. So I wasn't able to do much, but I was still able to function. Like the next morning, I actually made breakfast for myself, right? So you're able to do things, but sometimes you just get the feeling that you're straining your eyes a bit too much, and then you just give it a break. So whenever I felt like, okay, I think I've strained these eyes too much, I would just go relax. Now, on the next day, I had to go back in for another test. So after the surgery is done on that day, you're good, everything is fine. But you have to go back in the next day for another test. So that's when they're going to check to see that everything went on smoothly, to show that your cornea is healing correctly, to show that nothing was done wrong, and you're just pretty much on your way to healing. So I did go there. It was a quick 15 to 20 minute checkup. They did a couple of tests, asked if I could read the alphabet. I was so excited. Like, it was at that point I realized, wait a second, I can see all these tiny alphabets even without my glasses. It was unbelievable. Oh, and I forgot to mention, by the time I was done, they had this donation box where I could donate my glasses. So after my surgery, it was such an emotional moment for me. I'm like, I'm never having to wear these again. And I dumped my glasses into the donation box. Anyway, fast forward to my test date. So I could actually read those alphabets. I could read everything, even those really tiny ones at the last line. I could read everything. I'm like, oh my God, my vision is actually perfect now. And I was excited, guys. Like, till now, I'm still not over the fact that I don't have to wear glasses. Sometimes I'm trying to go to bed and I'm actually touching my face like, oh, I need to take off my glasses. And I'm like, no, you don't. You don't wear glasses anymore. Or sometimes I'm about dressing up to go out and I'm like, yeah, I have to wear contact lens. It was just at that point I realized that was actually the most stressful part of me dressing up, having to like wear contact lens. So every time I realized, oh, wait, you don't have to wear contact lens. All you have to do is wear your clothes, throw some makeup on, and you're good. Guys, it's a life-changing experience. So this was my LASIK surgery journey. Now I am 3 weeks post-surgery. My vision is perfect. Everything is great. I was back to work 1 week later. And by 48 hours, just like they said, I was good. Of course, every time I stepped out, I had to wear dark shades because my eyes became super sensitive to light. But as things are right now, my eyes are great. And $5,000 for like a very long time of perfect vision, definitely worth it. So guys, if it's something you're interested in, you can definitely start doing your research. If you have specific questions I haven't addressed, please leave a comment in the comment section and I'll definitely respond. If you've had a surgery done more recently than I have, if you had a different experience, if you had the PRK instead of the LASIK laser, please leave a comment as well, right? But guys, everything starts with a test to check your eligibility. So do some research. When you make up your mind, when you choose a clinic, go ahead and get a test done to see if you are eligible. Guys, I really wanted to vlog my entire experience. Like, I'd start making videos, but on getting to the clinic, they had said due to some legal reasons and COVID, they weren't allowing people film their experience anymore. I wanted to actually film the entire experience, but this is the next best thing I could do to tell you guys about the experience. But like I said, I will be happy to answer any questions I haven't already addressed. Guys, thank you for watching. So this has been my LASIK journey. I will definitely keep you updated on how it goes. That will be on my Instagram. I mean, it's just 3 weeks post-surgery, but I feel great. I would be giving you updates, say, every month to let you know how it's going. And guys, if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Share this video with friends who you have been trying to convince to get a LASIK surgery done. My most popularly asked questions: weren't you scared? Yes, I was scared, but I loved what was lying on the other side of fear, which was the result of never having to use glasses again. Wasn't it painful? Guys, it was painless. I didn't feel nothing, trust me. And what was the last question? Isn't it expensive? It's about $5,000. In my opinion, it's worth it. And remember, many of these guys have financing options. So guys, make up your mind. If you decide to do one as a result of my experience, please let me know. Hit me up on Instagram, or you could just come back here and leave a comment. I would appreciate it. Shout out to everyone who helped me through my process, my friends who supported me, everyone I had to take me to the clinic and bring me back. Thank you so much. So guys, thanks for watching again. Until my next video.